The point I'm trying to make is we've got to get serious about what we want from the Chinese. And there's no way that on our border, China talks about its peaceful rise, but actually it's China's force projection that comes out very clearly in the white paper, incidentally, which was released on the day the troops moved into this area. So it is not a tactical move, it is a calibrated response for larger force projection right along the border. And that is what is my concern.
As I go to General Sharma, I want to just put this in context. What is Maruf Raza talking about? To all our viewers, Maruf is talking about 1986, when in 1986, if I am not mistaken, India lodged a formal complaint against Chinese intrusion into the Indian territory. At that time too, China denied any intrusion. However, the Chinese denial eventually led to Operation Falcon, which resulted in the 1993 agreement between India and China. So the point, the short point being raised is this. And that's my question to General Sharma. What stops India? What stops India, General Sharma, from towing the similar line this time around, that is moving from a strategy of defense in its own territory to a slightly more offensive position to tell the Chinese, we too mean business. We are not going to take it lying down.
Arnav, from a soldier you will find a slightly different perspective coming. You know, instead of sound and fury and making dramatic statements, we need to do certain solid things. As far as China is concerned, this particular incident is not one of the incident. This area, which is the remotest of Ladakh area, a cold desert, where temperature at this point in time may be anything up to minus 30 degrees, is not just a wasteland. It lies between the road from Tibet to Aksai Chin, to Xinjiang, and on the westwards, Siachen. So therefore, this is not a place where we can just negotiate and pull back. Having said that, I must draw a very clear distinction between what the learned professor has said and I try to draw comparison with South China Sea or East China Sea. Here we have a situation where patrols have been coming and going. But now, why have they done this time? Two things. One is to test our resolve, whether we're going to blink or are we going to stick on. And second thing, to size up our military capability. There is no point whistling in the dark or making noise if you don't have military capability which is matching. We know it that for quite a while there have been negotiations on the border. But China is in no hurry to resolve this. China would like to resolve this issue when it suits them. And we should only go and sit on the negotiating table when we are equal or near equal.
Till then, General Sharma, let the Chinese squat on our land? Are you saying, one second, Maruf is disagreeing? Maruf has a slight point of disagreement, sir, with you.
Far from it.
Maruf has a slight point of disagreement. I'm letting him come in. Maruf. Maruf to General Sharma.
General Sharma, you know it.
We need to firm it.
General Sharma, you know it better than I do, that there are two levels of decision making outside the political sphere. One is at your level as a corps commander at strategic level. One is at the ground level. I mean, there is no way that you can expect. I mean, there were 600 intrusions in the past 1 year, and this is a complete, showing your thumb to us right deep inside our territory and saying, what can we do? And we can actually take military measures, and I don't need to spell that out to you, without actually a bullet being fired, but still browbeating them back into withdrawing. This has been done in the past. There are force levels that can be used to convey the message, but the message that is coming out from Ladakh is a complete reluctance on the part of Delhi and the commanders on the ground to take anything to upset the apple cart. Why is that? You have to answer that. You've been on the location there, sir.
No, let me tell you, I am not aware of what is happening on the ground, but one fact which I am very certain of is that on ground there is a firm resolve and our troops have also pitched in. Now, how long will the standoff will last is a function of the two military commanders there handling it. I have no doubts at all, but there are certain functional issues which we need to address. Because if we don't address that and we try and draw parallel to what has happened in the past in toto, it may not be correct. Today you find this border, such a sensitive border, is being manned by ITBP. The army has come in, and therefore such sensitive areas require unity of command.
So this is
Notwithstanding that, I don't think it is anybody's case to suggest that we should back off. There's no question.
No, you
we
see,
have to be there and we have to assert.
Dr. Leung,
Never mind what dialogues goes on at the
Dr.
level, political level.
Dr. Leung, before I lose the satellite link with you, a simple question. You say, it is a localized incident. With all respect, Dr. Leung, this is not an incident in isolation. It has now emerged there were 5 transgressions by the PLA on the same day. Surely there's nothing routine about multiple coordinated and well-planned incursions, Dr. Leung? These are multiple coordinated and well-planned, sir.
Well, that's why I said at the beginning that this is not a matter to be left in the hands of the local commanders on both sides.
It's not.
I mean, this is really should be elevated to the highest level. And I don't see why that the Prime Minister of India should not make a direct, a statement with the visiting Chinese Prime Minister and get it clarified.
Is that a good idea, Kawal Sibal? Is that a good idea, raising it to the level of the Prime Minister? Is that a good idea?
No, look, it has already been raised to the political level. The Chinese ambassador was called in for a conversation with our foreign secretary, and messages have been passed in Beijing too. So it's already been raised at the diplomatic level using the channels that have been agreed between the two sides to communicate on such potential standoffs. So therefore, there is no need at this stage to raise it at the Prime Minister's level or to wait for the Chinese Prime Minister to come here to raise this, because I'm afraid if this standoff continues, the Chinese Prime Minister's visit will be a bit of a wash-off.
Yeah.
Because with tensions on the border, the press reporting, the media reporting on the visit, and the focus of the visit will be on this particular problem between the two countries. Therefore, it will be very unwise for political leadership on both sides to allow this issue to fester till that time. Now, let me make 1 or 2 additional points. One is that we have all across the border areas which either side claims. We think that our control actually extends to a certain point, and the Chinese believe that their control extends to a certain point. Now, in the past, in the early 2002, 2003, when I was in office, we had agreed that the Chinese tell us on the map where they think their line of actual control is. And we will put on the map where we feel the actual line of control is. We will superimpose those maps, and then we'll have a clear idea as to what is the extent of differences and what is the extent of the disputed area. Then from there, we can then go towards finding some reasonable solution to avoid this constant problem where their people come this side, our people go this side, and we land up into situations that we are having now. But the Chinese walked out of this process. The Chinese have walked out of the special representative process in effect, because they don't want to discuss the border issue in that alone. They want to discuss the entire strategic relationship. They don't want to settle this issue. So therefore, to say that it should be raised at the political level, to my mind, it doesn't make too much sense unless the Chinese are willing actually to sit down with us and resolve this problem once and for all, so that we don't have this constant problem which actually creates more distrust, more suspicion about their long-term intentions, and creates difficulties in our relations.
That's a point well made, but if we
do this is the question we must ask.
Well,
the second thing, Arnav, is that why are we living with this situation? We also seem to be comfortable with the idea that let the situation continue. We can move across each other's perceived line of control, and that will not cost anything insofar as our relationship is concerned, and we can keep expanding our relationship and make soft diplomatic noises, say how we are coming close to each other, we can cooperate with each other, etc., etc. There is a huge disconnect between the situation on the ground and the diplomatic discourse and the political discourse that we are engaged in.
You take a poll on this among people, nobody wants this situation to continue. Whether the governments have the will and the determination to respond is the question. The people of this country don't want a wishy-washy diplomacy. But if the governments choose to go in for it,
we must stand our ground.
You say we should stand our ground. Salman Khurshid should answer. My last question before I wrap this up is, Professor Kondapalli, from your viewing of the situation, do you think after there will be a third flag meeting? And do you think the Chinese will now back off? Or will they go for the long haul confrontation with India on this?
Well, the ground situation is that they will have to go back, because simply setting up a tent will not do. And since it is in the disputed territory, they'll have to withdraw. It's likely that Chinese will withdraw. However, they could be assertive, because the whole area is closer to where China is investing something like $32 billion in the northern areas and Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So my feeling is that they will stay put in the larger region and will try to provoke India subsequently as well.
Well, I think we need to steer them back this time. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on Newshour Debate number 2. We are following the track of the flag meeting, and we'll keep you up to date with what the Indian response will be later tonight. Thank you, gentlemen.